Under the faint moonlight in the desolate highlands, the desperate cry of a small creature pierced the stillness, signaling the start of a brutal fight for survival, where courage alone would decide the fate of an entire herd. This rugged highland, carved with deep valleys and dotted with treacherous swamps, was no place for the weak. The late night hung silent, the silvery glow of the moon stretching across the parched earth, casting eerie shadows as if nature itself held its breath for the chaos to come. The cold air was thick with the scent of soil and peril, a grim omen of the merciless battle between life and death that loomed ahead. At the heart of this scene, a baby elephant thrashed in despair. Separated from its herd, it was trapped in a swamp, each frantic movement only dragging it deeper into the black, clutching mud. Its cries, faint yet soul-shattering, echoed through the night, a final pitiful plea before the darkness swallowed it whole. From the distance, a pride of lions caught the whiff of vulnerable prey. 8 of them, their eyes glinting like embers under the moonlight, stalked forward with silent menace, poised to rip through the night for a savage feast. But in that breathless instant, a towering figure emerged from the shadows. Taru, a lone bull elephant with a massive frame and scars etched from battles long past, stepped into the fray. Though exiled from his herd, the primal urge to protect his kind still blazed within him. His heavy footsteps rumbled the ground, a stark counterpoint to the lion's deadly hush. A fateful clash was about to unfold, one where Taru's bravery would not only seal the baby elephant's destiny, but might also rewrite his own. Would the moonlight bear witness to triumph or a blood-soaked tragedy? The baby elephant, its tiny form now a fading silhouette in the dark swamp, was slipping into exhaustion. The thick mud had swallowed it up to its chest, clinging to its skin like an unseen hand pulling it into the abyss. Each breath came as a frail, stuttering whimper, blending with the squelching of the sinking earth beneath its weight. Its small ears flapped uselessly, like a fledgling tumbled from its nest, while its trembling trunk stretched upward, fragile as a snapped twig before a raging storm. Panic flickered in its eyes, but its strength was gone. It could no longer fight, only sink deeper into despair, as the swamp's shadows devoured its last shred of hope. Suddenly, a chilling gust swept through, carrying the stench of danger. From afar, the outlines of 8 lions materialized, their golden fur shimmering faintly under the dim moonlight. Gone was their earlier calm. Now they moved with purpose, muscles flexing with every step. Their low growls rolled through the air, each one a hammer strike that clenched the baby elephant's heart in terror. The lead male, a scarred beast with eyes ablaze with cruelty, leaped onto a nearby rise. There it stood, majestic as a king, bearing razor-sharp fangs and unleashing a long, thunderous roar that shook the wild expanse. The others swiftly closed in, claws gouging the earth, leaving deep scars as a warning of the grim fate awaiting. Their prey, just when all seemed lost, an unexpected twist shattered the scene. From the swamp's murky depths, a massive crocodile erupted, breaking the silence. Its jagged teeth flashed under the moonlight as it lunged at the baby elephant with horrifying speed. Water exploded in violent splashes, small waves rippling outward, while the crocodile's bellow mingled with the calf's frantic screams, plunging the night into chaos. The lions froze, stepping back from this sudden rival, yet they refused to relent. They circled the swamp, their keen eyes flicking between the calf and the crocodile, plotting to steal the prize from this new predator. As hope dwindled to nothing, the earth quaked with sudden fury, as if nature itself had roared to life. From the forest's depths, Taru, a colossal bull with tusks curved like the reaper's scythe, charged forth with unstoppable force. His footsteps thundered like lightning, dust swirling in his wake, and his bellow drowned out all else, a defiant challenge ringing through the night. Without hesitation, he plunged into the swamp, slamming his tusks into the crocodile and sending it cartwheeling through the murky water. The lions, fierce as they were, faltered before his sheer might. But the threat wasn't over. A daring lion sprang onto Taru's back, claws sinking into his flesh, staggering him for a heartbeat. The true battle had begun, a desperate stand, where Taru faced the entire pride to shield the fragile life beside him. Beneath the pale moonlight, the showdown blazed with raw intensity. Taru, wielding his immense strength, hurled each lion back with sweeping blows, but the pride wouldn't break so easily. They struck from every angle, snarling and snapping, probing for any weakness. The baby elephant, still mired in the mud, lifted its head to gaze at Taru, its eyes flickering with a fragile spark of hope. The fight stretched on, each moment an eternity, until Taru, summoning his dwindling reserves, unleashed a roar that split the heavens. That sound was a proclamation of victory, forcing the lions to finally retreat, slinking back into the forest's gloom, abandoning the battlefield. Panting with exhaustion, Taru turned to the baby elephant. With tender care, he coiled his trunk around its frail body, easing it free from the swamp's deadly grip. The little one, shivering and weak, pressed close to its savior, seeking solace. The moonlight bathed them, illuminating a striking tableau. Two souls, one vast and mighty, the other small and frail, standing united in the wilderness, a living emblem of resilience and hope on the edge of oblivion. The baby elephant's strength was all but spent. Each breath was a faint, broken gasp, its tiny legs quaking, unable to bear its weight. The muddy pit had sapped its vigor, leaving it defenseless and exposed. Its once bright eyes dulled with fatigue, barely registering the encroaching danger. The lions, sensing their chance, edged closer. Their golden coats gleamed under the faint moonlight, but their advance was anything but graceful, slow, deliberate, and lethal. The scarred lead male let out a deep growl, a sound like rolling thunder as the others followed, their unblinking stares fixed on the calf, ravenous and relentless. Taru stood resolute, his hulking form casting a long shadow over the mud pit. His heart hammered, but his eyes held firm, locked on the nearing lions. He knew the odds, 8 seasoned hunters against a solitary elephant, but retreat wasn't an option. The calf's life hung in his hands, and a fierce protective fire surged within him, unyielding. He dipped his head, his curved tusks glinting like twin blades in the moonlight, and let loose a deep trumpet that rolled across the savannah. A warning, a dare, a vow. The lions hesitated, ears twitching at the sound, but hunger spurred them on. The lead male crouched, muscles taut beneath its fur, then launched at Taru with a snarl. Taru met it head-on, tusks slashing through the air, forcing the lion to twist mid-flight and crash awkwardly. The others, emboldened, began to circle, seeking an opening. Taru's gaze darted between them, trunk poised to strike. Then, 2 lions pounced from opposite sides, claws out, teeth bared. Taru swung left, smashing his trunk into one's flank, sending it sprawling with a yelp of pain. The second was quicker, leaping onto his back, claws tearing into his thick hide. Pain flared, but Taru stood firm. With a mighty shake, he flung it off, then stomped the ground, the tremor stalling the pride's advance. From the mire, the baby elephant whimpered, its wide eyes filled with terror and wonder. Taru was its bulwark, yet the lions pressed on. 3 more charged, their roars tearing through the night. Taru met them headlong, tusks sweeping in a broad arc. One lagged and was flung skyward with a howl of agony. The rest pulled back, but only for a moment, regrouping with fury and starvation in their glare. Taru's breath grew ragged, his sides heaving, blood seeping from the gashes on his back. Still, his will held strong. He edged nearer to the calf, his massive feet sinking into the mud as he braced for the next onslaught. The lions, sensing his weariness, tightened their ring, their growls swelling with confidence. Then, out of nowhere, the lead lion surged again, aiming for Taru's throat. Time slowed. Taru tensed, his mind racing. Failure now meant death for them both. With his final surge of power, he reared onto his hind legs, front feet clawing the air, then crashed down. With all his might upon the lion, Taru towered over the savannah, the dim moonlight bathing his colossal frame. Before him stood 8 lions, their eyes burning like coals in the dark, their growls wove with the wind whistling through the dry grass. Behind him the baby elephant quivered, its small feet mired in the sludge. Taru knew surrender meant doom. For them both, he drew a deep breath, his sharp-curved tusks poised for war. The lead male lion, its mane ragged and scarred, spearheaded the assault. It shot forward like an arrow, razor-sharp claws aimed straight for Taru's throat. But Taru was anything but sluggish. He pivoted, ramming his tusks into the lion's flank, sending it tumbling across the ground with a pained howl. The rest of the pride didn't flinch. They split apart, encircling Taru from all sides, trying to overwhelm him with numbers. 2 lions lunged from behind. One leaped onto Taru's back, claws sinking deep into his flesh, drawing fresh blood. Taru gritted his teeth, the pain searing. Threw him, but he refused to fall. He shook violently, flinging the lion to the ground with a bone-jarring thud. The second lion clamped its jaws onto Taru's hind leg, teeth piercing through. Taru faltered for a moment, but only briefly. He stomped the earth with tremendous force, the impact reverberating, forcing the lion to release its grip and retreat warily. The pride didn't relent. 3 more lions darted forward, targeting the baby elephant cowering in the mud. Taru sensed the danger. He let out a roar that shook the savannah, charging to shield the calf. His tusks swung like massive swords, slicing through the air. 1 reckless lion sprang at him, but Taru was ready. He thrust forward, his tusks striking the beast's chest, hurling it far away where it lay motionless. But the battle wasn't over. A swift and cunning lioness suddenly leaped onto Taru's back from behind. She bit down hard on his neck, claws digging deep. Agony spread through him like wildfire, blood trickling down his fur. He gasped for air, but his eyes blazed with resolve. Taru reared up on his hind legs, then crashed backward, using his full weight to crush the lioness beneath him. The sound of snapping bones rang out, and the lioness screeched in agony, releasing her hold and rolling away. Taru rose, his body battered and bleeding from his back, legs and neck. He turned to face the remaining lions. His eyes burned with fury and unbreakable will. He slammed his foot into the ground, the sound like thunder echoing across the plains. The earth trembled, dry grass scattering, and the lions froze. They stared at Taru, ears twitching, their confidence wavering. With one final roar, Taru stepped forward, tusks raised high in victory. The lions, though fierce, dared not continue. They growled one last time, then slowly backed away, slinking into the darkness. Taru stood watchful until they vanished completely. He turned back to the baby elephant, his body weary but his eyes still bright. The calf looked up, its gaze filled with gratitude. Gently, Taru wrapped his trunk around it, lifting it free from the mud. The battle was over, and Taru had triumphed, not just in saving the calf but in proving his strength and courage. After escaping the lion's clutches, Taru guided the baby elephant onward toward the herd. But the path ahead was no longer smooth. A catastrophic landslide had blocked their familiar route, leaving a towering pile of earth and rock in their way. Taru paused, his large ears perked, sharp eyes scanning the terrain. With no other choice, he decided to lead the calf through a narrow, steep trail, where jagged rocks jutted out like a gauntlet. Each step was a gamble. The ground could give way at any moment. The baby elephant trembled, its tiny feet slipping on the stones, but Taru was always there, using his powerful trunk to steady it whenever it stumbled. They carefully climbed a sheer cliff, the air heavy with their labored breaths. Suddenly, a piercing screech tore through the sky. From above, a massive eagle swooped down, its wings spanning over 3 meters, casting a shadow like a dark omen. Its cold eyes locked onto the baby elephant, talons gleaming as they aimed for the small prey. Taru didn't hesitate. He stood tall, raised his trunk, and bellowed a roar that shook the cliffside. The eagle faltered, circling overhead, but it wasn't deterred. It dove again, faster than before. Taru swung his trunk like a steel whip, striking the eagle's wing, sending it crashing to the ground. The bird screeched in fury, but eventually flapped away, disappearing into the horizon. Taru sighed in relief, but the danger wasn't over. From a distance, low growls rumbled. The lions. They hadn't given up, stalking them silently, waiting for a chance to strike again. Taru felt the threat closing in. He and the calf were exhausted, but they couldn't stop. To protect the little one, Taru led it into a dense forest, hoping the thick canopy would mask their scent and sounds. But the forest was a labyrinth of traps, towering trees, twisted roots like natural snares, and hidden pits beneath layers of dead leaves. Suddenly, the baby elephant tripped over a large root, tumbling into a deep, dark hole. Taru panicked, reaching down with his trunk to pull it up, but the pit was too deep. Time was running out. The lion's growls were closer than ever. Quickly, Taru found a large branch, and with all his strength lowered it into the hole to form a makeshift bridge. The baby elephant, though terrified and shaking, clung to the branch and began to climb. Taru stood above, trunk extended to help. After tense moments, the calf finally scrambled up, trembling but safe in Taru's protective embrace. Yet the lions were nearly upon them. Their growls echoed through the trees, so close Taru could almost hear their breath. With no time to rest, he urged the calf to run through the forest, ignoring the rugged terrain. They burst into a clearing, facing a wide, raging river that seemed ready to swallow anything in its path. With no other way, Taru stepped into the icy water, the calf clinging tightly to him. The current tugged at them, but Taru fought back, using every ounce of strength to swim across. The baby elephant, though frightened, held on with its tiny trunk. As they neared the opposite bank, a lion sprang from the bushes, snarling and baring its fangs. Taru, though drained, surged onto the shore with astonishing speed, headbutting the predator and sending it sprawling into the water. The other lions, seeing their comrade defeated, hesitated and didn't pursue further. Taru and the calf stood on the riverbank, panting but finally free from the reaper's scythe. In the distance, the deep, warm trumpets of the elephant herd echoed. Taru lifted his head, ears twitching. He knew they were close. With the last of his strength, he guided the calf toward the sound, carrying the hope of a safe reunion. Taru led the baby elephant through tall grass, finally reaching the herd gathered by the stream. The fiery sunset bathed the water, reflecting the massive silhouettes of the elephants drinking peacefully. The calf, its small legs weary from the long journey, perked up at the familiar low rumble. From the center of the herd, a large female raised her head, ears alert. It was the mother. Recognizing her child, she let out a joyful cry and rushed through the grass to meet it. The baby elephant stumbled forward, nestling into its mother's side as she wrapped her trunk around it, her eyes shining with relief and happiness. The reunion hushed the forest, leaving only the sound of their joyful trumpets. Taru stood nearby, watching quietly. He felt the warmth of their bond, but his gaze sharpened as the herd began to notice him. A few older elephants, their skin crisscrossed with scars, stepped forward, eyes wary. Taru was no stranger. He had once been part of the herd but was cast out after past conflicts. His return thickened the air with tension. The current leader of the herd, a massive bull with gracefully curved tusks and a towering frame, stepped forward to confront Taru. He unleashed a deep, resonant trumpet, a sound that served as both a greeting and a challenge. The herd stirred uneasily, their murmurs rippling through the air. Some elephants shuffled backward, uncertain of what this once banished outsider intended. Taru dipped his head slightly in a gesture of respect, though his steady gaze never wavered. He knew returning the lost calf wasn't enough to erase his past. He had to prove his worth. Suddenly, a low growl rumbled from the distance, shattering the stillness. A pride of lions, the same relentless predators that had tracked Taru and the calf across their grueling journey, emerged from the thick underbrush. Spotting the herd's momentary distraction, they seized their chance. With eyes glinting fiercely, they charged. Panic swept through the elephants. The cows hurriedly herded their young behind them, while the leader bellowed commands to stand firm. But before the herd could rally, Taru leapt into action. Without a second's hesitation, Taru barreled toward the lions, his enormous bulk a living shield for the herd. He slammed into the lead lion, sending it tumbling across the dirt, then lashed out with his trunk, striking another and hurling it aside. The lion snarled, darting in from all sides, but Taru moved with astonishing agility. His raw power and quick wits kept them at bay. The herd, at first paralyzed by shock, began to see the depth of Taru's courage. The leader, though still cautious, finally stepped in, taking his place beside Taru to repel the onslaught. The two bulls, once rivals, now stood as one, an unyielding barrier. Defeated, the lions let out a final, frustrated growl before slinking back into the darkness. As calm settled over the savannah, the herd gathered around Taru. The suspicion that once clouded their eyes had melted into admiration. The leader approached and sounded a long, warm trumpet, a silent yet profound recognition. He lowered his head to Taru, and one by one the others followed. Taru, once a forgotten outcast, was now hailed as their new leader. He had proven himself not only by rescuing the calf, but by fearlessly shielding the entire herd from danger. Beneath the shimmering moonlight, Taru stood tall among the elephants, his eyes alight with pride and duty. From a rejected wanderer, he had risen to become a bold leader, guiding the herd onward across the endless savannah toward a brighter future. Taru's journey from exile to leadership is a vivid testament that anyone can reclaim their worth through courage and sacrifice. When danger loomed, Taru didn't just save the calf, he safeguarded the whole herd, showing that true strength lies in standing up for others. This story whispers a powerful truth. Even if we've been cast aside or lost, we all have the chance to redeem ourselves and rebuild trust, so long as we're willing to act for what's right. Taru found his family not through words, but through deeds that spoke volumes. What do you think of Taru's transformation? Have you ever felt like an outsider, or watched someone rise above hardship to make amends? Share your thoughts or stories. In the comments below, let's inspire each other. If this tale touched your heart, subscribe to Animal Kisa for more moving stories of bravery and unity. Join our community, where beautiful values shine, and don't miss a single update. Hit that subscribe button today.